So let's get started. Hi everyone, nice to see you guys again. I'm starting off with a couple of really important announcements. If you have not migrated to Reddit, please do. I am extremely upset at those who have not moved over because some of you are still posting on Google Plus. The reason why Google Plus is a little bit more active, not even than Reddit, which really isn't, someone is saying, is because those of you who have not moved over are still critiquing each other, and you think that that's active, but it's not. This is where a lot of the actives are. These are active migrants who have actually moved, so they are actually visiting it. They're visiting it consistently throughout the week. Whenever they post art, whenever they just get back into art for a day or two, they are on this. So they will critique you when they see you post your work. I picked out one thing from critique community, for the Google Plus critique community, which is this piece, because it sorely needs a critique. But that's like, I never do this. I never pick from Google Plus. I said I would not anymore, but because no one's really posting anything new on Google Plus or posting stuff from last week, you guys need to start moving over. You guys need to get on it. Google Plus is going to shut down April 2nd. You're not going to have a community to go to. So you either get used to Reddit or you won't have a community. You guys have to move over and post your stuff there. The reason why this is important is because I can't do a critique hour unless people are posting. So please start posting on Google. Please start posting on Reddit. It's really important that you guys move over there. You will still get an image preview. If you just post an image, people will still be able to see your image. And then you can comment on the image with your thoughts. You don't have to post a written thought and then the image is attached, because it won't preview the image and it won't work like an image wall. Just post the image. That's all I want. And in your comments, write a comment about your thoughts and pin it to the top of your post if you're allowed. I'm still not really good at Reddit, and that's okay. I still can use it, and so can you. Just make an account and move over into Reddit, please. So another announcement is, just like I said last time, the villain challenge won't be due until April 3rd or April 2nd, as soon as Google Plus shuts down, so people don't post their stuff both on Google Plus and Reddit, which is going to get extremely annoying and confusing for me when picking out stuff to critique. So all challenges are put on hold until Google Plus shuts down. Which you can still work on it. You can still get started on it. You have a lot of time between now and April or the end of March to finish your post. You have a month and some day and like a week. So get on it. Get started on your villains. I haven't posted the resource pack just yet. It's very similar to the resource pack available on the Google community. You'll find it on the Google community too, but and way in the history. But you can find it on Istebrak.com in the community tab. Scroll down, you'll see a link of resource packs to different villain challenges from the past, and different challenges from the past. God damn it! And then you'll find the villain there. And that's about it. I do want to talk about a post that I made on Instagram talking about my recent medical problems and my diagnosis, and so many of you came out and wrote so many well wishes and so many sweet thoughts. I love you guys so much. I know I'm like super cranky today, and I'm a little bit tired, and life's really difficult for me right now. I mean, like, really difficult. I'm not just talking like mildly difficult. I mean, like, I don't have a reason to go on right now other than just art and drawing, and that's all I have at the moment. I have like nothing else. I have no rest and sleep. I have no happiness with food. I have no one to go to. I'm extremely just at the edge of it, and I'm trying to keep my friends around me, and I'm trying to keep art around me, and I'm trying to keep it all together. And I don't know if it'll get together. I really don't know. I might take a break during March just to recuperate as much as I can. I have taken a break from working out. I'm completely like just bedridden nowadays, and I'm trying to use it to draw more. But honestly, like the kind of support you guys have sent out, like tons and tons of comments, each one a paragraph of just your thoughts and how much you've learned from me, and how like you're just so supportive. You have some people have recommended doctors, some people have recommended all kinds of stuff to help with the pain medicine and all kinds of stuff. I just can't believe you guys are so wonderful and actively wonderful, and believe in what I do, and are wishing me strength and sending your prayers over. I really mean it. I really mean it. Thank you so much. I want to take time to just thank you guys for that. I can't type out a thank you for every comment I got. But I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So let's get started. Today I'm going to be talking about proportions and figures, talking about why this figure is having a lot of trouble. One of the biggest problems for why it's having trouble is the light environment. The colors, even though you're going for saturated, they're still so muddy. Oops. Okay. Oh, I just meant 5, not 55. Let's see if I can... Not just that, you have a slight gradient going on. Oops. I think that's about it. And what I'm doing here is I am just... Yes, I reverted to CS6 because CC is terrible. And it just never had a working liquefy. It always had trouble. But you're using a lot of colors here in your piece, and a lot of primary colors, really saturated, and your light environment is doing 0 to help that. And by raising the light environment value, what we've done is we've supported the presence of all this highlight, like her white chest plate thing, or whatever this piece is. It needs a lot of light to prove that it can get this white in this environment. And it is pretty white. There's a lot of highlight on her forehead, as you can see, which doesn't make much sense in this environment. Where is this coming from? So that muddy look, that muddy feeling, that icky muddy feeling is happening because your values just are not speaking in this light environment. And then I'm just raising some of the highlights up. Not highlights, it's really mostly the contrast that I'm raising, and this is affecting the skin. Levels affect skin more. We're seeing barely a change in the color, but in the skin we're seeing a lot of change. So it's just Control L so I can get some of that vibrancy back in the skin, because the skin was, not only did you have a bad light environment, but you had a different light environment for every component in the body. You didn't have a consistent one. Okay, and then we're going to talk about the body. So I've opened up Portrait Studio. If you don't know what Portrait Studio is, it's a reference generation software that we've developed, and it has a posable mannequin, a customizable bust, male and female, and tons of varieties of models you can use to build a scene and create an appropriate reference. So what I have opened up is the female mannequin that's posable, and I'm going to hide the joints. And you use the joints to pose it, but what I want to talk about is how this stance here is perfect for character design. It's perfect for it. So I'm just going to select it really quickly. You can take a screenshot. I usually use just screenshot. And I'm just going to take it over to your piece. All right, maybe I should have opened it in PureRef, but I'm just going to take it over here so we can just compare what you've done. Alright, so it's low res because compared to your piece canvas is huge. And what we have as a problem here is the head size. First and most importantly, the head size is off. Like, even if we lengthen her body a little bit, just so she's a little bit taller, the head size is unbelievably huge. I mean, unbelievably small compared to the thighs, which are pretty much the same volume at the moment. Also, you have this like non-human way of drawing the thighs. Usually, I mean, this girl's legs are apart, so typically when someone is standing, they're not standing shoulder width apart. They usually do something like this. People usually stand like this. I'm just going to show the joints. Portrait Studio is available on Mac for those who are curious. It's just enhanced lighting features are disabled. Trust me, they're just going to make your brain, the brain of your computer just like explode and your graphics card explode. Because you really need a good computer to turn these on. If I turn this on right now, Photoshop would crash because I've maxed everything out, even though Evo told me not to. I was just trying to stress test my graphics card. I have to disable them before I start again. But this is fine for now. But if you are building a really advanced scene, you want a perfect like a bounce light and all of that, you do have to turn that on. If you're using colors as well, which is Portrait Studio is amazing. The power is amazing. But for now, I'm just using this. So usually this is how people stand. And if we go into, there is a skeleton model in Portrait Studio, but I'm just going to open a reference images. And I just want to show you that naturally the way the skeleton, I'm just trying to find a good reference for it is the skeleton of the legs moves inward. Like we have an inward movement. The feet come together. The legs don't. It's more something like this. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but it's more something like this. This is just a standing decoration. But when we're standing, the legs come together. All right, you can see the femur kind of moving inward. We don't have this outward stance because it looks like in your version, it looks like the legs aren't stacking. So we have a really big problem. And then you have shoulder width to the rest of the body. It looks like ostrich legs. Shoulder width to the rest of the hip seems okay, but she's very athletic, this female here, extremely athletic. So we don't have a very wide hip. You can increase the size of the hips and you won't lose much, and you can shrink the size of individual parts and it won't shrink. It won't like throw off the proportions. So what we want to do is try to match as much of these proportions as possible in relation to the head. So let's just go over it. It should be an average 8 heads down, 8.5, 7.5. But let's go for it. My perspective might also be off. Oops. All right, so we've got 1 head in width, and then I'm merging that down. And then we've got 4 heads up until the hip area, and then it might just hit like 8.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really, really averaged out, and that's the perspective I was talking about this little bit. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then let's look at yours. We're gonna get a lot with yours. Okay. Damn it. Stupid brush. So this is a very severe problem you guys have with your figures. You guys do not measure like this, and it's just so problematic. Okay. So we're gonna get good number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8.5, starting to look appropriate, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then a little bit more. And then we're talking about the width of the head, which is shoulder and then width. We're pretty much seeing like a half length of or like almost we're just taking the head and laying it down. So what we would do is taking one of these. Nope. We're taking one of these. Why? Why aren't you listening to me? Okay. We'll bring it over. And we're seeing like an average 2 heads across. Heads laying down. And remember, my brush is really thick. I'm not actually getting into the edges. My brush here was on top of the edge, where this brush was right on the edge. So I'm going to redo this one just to make sure it's exact, so we can find exactly how many heads over you are when it comes to size. And then of course there's the width. Alright, so this is how many heads to the side laid down. So the head is going this way and this way. It should be 2 heads width from this center axis. And then we've got this one here, which is the shoulders are just too crunched in. So we're going to try that one. I'm just using a smaller. Okay, so we're laying it like that from the center. And then we are doing the same thing. Throwing it over. Look how much shoulder space you have left, because the head is more long and the shoulders are really, really thin. And then you've got that shoulder length, which does not work with how far you're throwing the thighs out, even if the thighs were shoulder width apart. the thing is, the shoulders, the legs aren't doing this. They're doing this. They're pointing forward, but they still project out this way. So your legs kind of seem like they have that disease where legs actually do this. When someone's legs look like this, it's a disease. It's an actual like dysfunctional proportion. They can't walk. So I'm going to do it one more time, but with a thinner line, just so we can figure out exactly how disproportionate your values are. And the head's pretty okay in itself, but when it comes to the proportions of the head on the rest of the body, we have a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then half a head, as I suspected. That's too much. That's too much of a disproportion. And though you can have, though you can have 8.5 on a person, usually when they are 8.5 or 9 heads down, the body is big. The body is chunky. The body has like you can tell that the person's oversized. The rest of their features, the bone structure is all high density. Right, so you've got like 8.5 heads, and this is not considering the horizontal disproportions. That's why the body feels long. So the way to correct this is just to increase the size of the head so that we get rid of this discrepancy, because that's almost a head length. So you're at 9, but the thing is, someone who is 9 heads long, they are still, the head is still proportionate width-wise. Maybe even width-wise, the body still increases. And this we're talking about cartoon style disproportion. And someone who is that long, you can tell, like they make it to like the Guinness Book of World Records. People save their skeleton for the rest of time. You know, you've seen people who are super, super tall. They have like these massive jawlines, thick necks. They eat 10 chickens a day. It's not average. It's not human. And what you want to do is not throw her off to be this not average character. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to start off actually with the head size. My thick brush, I probably should have done this here as well, but it would have come out to be 8. This was, even with the thicker brush, it came out to be 8. With a thicker brush, this also had a discrepancy. So I'm thickening and I'm enlarging the head a little bit just because of the length. And I have to do the same thing with the shoulders. That's the problem, is that the upper body is too small. Your upper body should be around like 4 heads around this line. And your upper body was, but like I think the fourth one came about to be here. It should be somewhere out here. It should be just like crotch 4 up and then crotch down 4. Alright, so I'm trying to find some kind of proportional, just making some sense of this. And then we have the upper body being too small. Son of a... You know what? Sorry guys, 1 second. I'm a bit a little bit crazy today. Okay, so increasing the size of the upper body. And then going in to fix the legs. The legs need to be corrected on so many levels. Let's just keep the legs straight so that we can figure out what we're doing and find some kind of skeletal stability to them. So we have straight leg going down. We have the knees not really stacking. Oops. Properly. Because they should be inward a little bit more. So, and then we have that little bulge of the knee right over here. And then we have the fact that the shin realigns just below. So your shin was like C-shaped. It was like bent. And that's that leg disease that some babies have. Or is it a disease? Is that right terminology? And then we're moving the foot in front. Foot does not feel like a foot because you don't really tilt the toes in properly. Oops. And I'll just have to correct that with liquify. Actually, I don't have time for that. Right, and then I have the entire other leg, which I'm deleting. Flip horizontal. And just add it. And then I have to shrink the leg. Sorry, my voice is going. Alright. So we've got this area needing a quick erase. And we've got the position of the shins. We've got the general length of the torso or the thighs, the general disproportion as well of the thighs. So thighs tend to move in and kind of bend inward, and the knee bends out, even if the person has like a thigh gap or something. So it bends in. The weight, the body weight that you gave her was not consistent all around. I'm not sure what you're doing with the gesture. And I'm just going to exaggerate the female form here because she's wearing really, really tight armor. That works like a corset. I'm giving like an upward kind of bulge to the breasts. Neck seems okay. And then we have the shin bone, which typically should be thinner than the calves. It just feels like I'm looking at the back of the legs. I feel like that's what you did. You drew the back and then you flipped it to the front. Muscles look very different from the front. I'm going to try to do the legs. I mean the feet. The feet need more upper volume. Sorry, I hit this foot accidentally. And I need to continue correcting these shins because they just need to be moving inward a little bit more. So even though this is posed to be ideal for posing because we pose it with a kind of like a Da Vinci's proportional man, but we still encourage you still have to have anatomy knowledge to pose it right. Alright, so I'm just pushing the legs inward a little bit because that's just the nature of legs when they stand, they go inward. A more comfortable position is when ankles are together. Okay, and then finally, okay, there's just so many things that feel off, but I'm going to really quickly get rid of your shadow over here. So apart from the blending issues and the lack of anatomy in the chest, especially because she's so athletic, we would have some kind of chest muscle or rib cage coming through, just a slight mention of it. She's not that skinny. But if we look at the before and after, there's still so many issues wrong. Like there's so many issues with this. But just a comparison. 1 second. Okay, and then what we're doing now is flatten. And I'm going to just show you where you were before. Before, see what I mean by ostrich? After. So I'm just going to base her on the same ground that she was in. Sorry. That really long head, the really pinched long head that was slightly too short lengthwise and really too short widthwise. It's not as wide as it should be. Right? It doesn't matter how athletic she is, or you still have to be proportionate. Okay. What? You know you're supposed to be quiet during class. You little rat. Up. Okay, so do you guys see the difference? And this is why I said this really needed some work. There's more stuff that I would do, but this is a good start for now. Do you guys have any questions at all? Okay, so when it comes to posing for character design, if you have to pose a character that has no personality to them, then go ahead and just make them standing like this. But standing character designs, I would do a lot of, oopsie. I would do, by the way, Control-Z is coming back to Portrait Studio. It's just really weird figuring out history and not letting people's computers crash. But what we're doing here, I'm just going to show you like what I do for a character design. And like a really high attitude character design. She doesn't have to have high attitude, but for a comfortable stance, even when someone doesn't have a high attitude, like for instance, if you were doing a character design of your villain challenge instead of a full illustration, or a character design of a villain that is standing, this is kind of how you add in some kind of attitude. And I'm just posing it here. Okay, so we are just bringing in way more attitude here. And what I do is I rotate, I kind of just figure out how I want the hips to be asymmetrical, and out of that I get that asymmetry. And so we're standing all the body on one hip, and then this being too long now, as you can see, this hip ends up bending. This knee ends up bending to be at the same length. And so let me just straighten the arm for now so you can see. So you can do this kind of stuff where there's just a bit of distortion to the symmetry, but not too much for a standing character. Arms can still be perfectly flat on either side, but I really don't recommend that annoying T-pose for character design. Like, unless you really had to, I think that even for just like drafting or trying to send it off to a modeler to build for you, you can still invest a great deal of just attitude. Some kind of attitude. Not a negative or positive or anything in that respect. Just the fact that the character has some personality in the way they stand. Not necessarily a characteristic personality, a natural anatomy to the way they're standing. Just a simple way that their body has kind of found a comfortable way to stand for that long period of time. Just any way someone would stand while taking a picture. So you got the head tilt, you got an inward tilt to the body. Let me turn off the joints. So a character design that has more of this in it feels more natural to me. I would move this leg a little bit over here and move this leg inward a little bit more. And usually when legs lean, they kind of go inward and lean. Sometimes one leg is behind the other a great deal. Sometimes the feet are just in the kind of, I'd have to select them all by drag and drop, but I mean by drag. Sometimes the feet, you're just resting on the balls of your toes. A little bit more attitude in any direction. You have more personality. The head tilt definitely brought in the personality and characteristic attitude on both axes that I tilted it. But this is typically how I kind of mess around with Portrait Studio. So I have a more believable stand. So sometimes I'll really use this, and a lot of the time how people are using this is completely wrong because they're basing it off their anatomy knowledge. And they're not really understanding exactly how to make the character feel natural. Because there's a lack in the visual library. I kind of don't like the over arc in the eyebrow and the spine sometimes, so I'll just bend all the body back until the torso is straight, and then I'll send the legs back as well, and I'll get rid of that. Not all characters stand like this, but it feels very natural, and something like this would have done wonders for your character, even if she doesn't have attitude. I'm not saying that all your characters need attitude. I'm saying it would have been more of a natural stance, just natural and anatomy, for us to see this instead of whatever is going on here. Okay, so I would work on adjusting this. I mean, it would take a lot of work for me right now to do this for you. Remember, this leg is going to catch a little more light than this one. The light was coming in from the side. So I would keep character designs kind of like this. And this kind of shadow. Okay, so it's kind of like in between a step or a walk. And they asked her, stop, let's take a picture. There's a slight rotation in the stomach, which is really nice and natural because one leg is behind. The stomach's rotated. This is the kind of stuff that doesn't happen automatically in the mannequin. You have to know that this happens. So having a reference and having Portrait Studio and basing it off the reference and adjusting just a little bit is much better than you trying to pose just raw without any references. And basing it off your anatomy knowledge. Also, stand up and act out the pose. It'll reveal a lot about what you are not remembering. And you see what I mean by chest anatomy? Just the collarbones are missing. It feels like we're looking at the back. The waistline is definitely visible here. This is after I edited. And you can just base it off before. This is why things look beginner, because you guys aren't thinking in these layers. There was the proportion layer and making sure everything is proportionate. Then there's just the natural stance, how it makes things look human. Look at that asymmetrical bit in the back. We don't have to see everything. We can tell it's a purple type of sleeve. We can tell. We don't need to see everything perfectly or have a perfect rounded. And if you do it from the back, you have a perfect reference right now from the back. Just change the light source. Yep, there we go. Okay. I just pressed 1 and moved my mouse, but you have a slider there as well for the light controls. As a summary, a lot of you are trying stuff that you don't know how to do, and a lot of you are not doing the basics first. So you're not doing any figure stances, any anatomy studies, any gesture studies, any proportions, any like closed off muscle studies or anatomy studies of just the arm connected to shoulder, shoulder in the torso, torso as it connects to the head, head proportions to the body. This is clear knowledge lack. It's not just, oh, I forgot to do it, or oh, my other stuff looks okay. I don't buy that stuff. This is clear knowledge lack, that you had 8.5 heads and you had 0 width, like proportion to the body. It was not working. The shoulders were too thin. The head was too long. Just things weren't working out here. So to be exact about it, the head size is a part of a larger symptom of lack of studies, and you're trying to pull off a masterpiece with something that you don't know how to do. Okay? That's what I said. I said if it's mandatory, don't video game companies want T-pose and character design so that the model UV people can almost trace over it? That's what I said. If it's absolutely required, yes. But in your portfolio, in your character design portfolio, you want to maximize how much skill you're displaying about what you can do. And this speaks volumes about what you know as a character design artist than a simple T-pose, which you can do as well. You can do both. Just make sure that you're displaying some kind of character in your portfolio at least. And then just have the side by side for T-pose plain, and then the one with the personality. And I don't just mean, again, I'm trying to clarify, this isn't just about adding character and personality. This is about the way the human body naturally stands. It's always leaning on either one leg, or the arms are doing something. The arms are asymmetrical. There's some kind of rotation and orbit to the upper body that's a little bit, more towards the camera a little bit, or more tilted towards the camera. Women stand very differently from men naturally. Right, it's really important you guys start using that. And if you have Portrait Studio and you're not using it, it's just sitting there waiting for you to use it so you can maximize the quality in what you're doing. And this is just for a standing pose, and we've changed so much between the before and after. So before, after, we got rid of that. We kept the thickness of her thighs, that's fine. But you still have a lot of issues. For instance, like if the light is coming down in that way, we would have a lot of shadow towards the lower part of the chest. So you see a lot of our highlights are only sitting at the top of each major bulge. But here you don't really have that. You have highlight moving across evenly. So what I mean is you should have used some kind of shadow. Darken. Oopsie. You should have used some kind of shadow down here. Do you see that? You did have one here, but it's kind of asymmetrical. Lighten. Alright, so we're not really doing that properly before, and then you have the stomach kind of just popping out, catching some light, and then you'll have the hips also, which you completely forgot about. And again, it's available in your reference right here. There's a hip highlight. If you're wearing skin-tight clothing, all of the bumps on the body, naturally naked, will be visible on the clothing. You don't have any hip highlights here. Any indication that she has hips, or hip bones, pelvic bones. Okay, what else? You've got some, the missing collarbones here. Really, really important. I don't want to do it as shadows because I don't want to really bring in a highlighter. Not far away from the head, but that's starting for something. Those are just two basic brush strokes laid down. And then a design, I won't talk about it because you've got bulky shapes, circular shapes repeating over and over and over again. But the highlight of the thighs should be more towards the center. I'm just going to use Dodge Tool. Midtones. More towards the center than the outlines or the sides, because it's a cylinder, and the cylinder is top-down lighting in this case. So you would have most of the highlights coming in from the top and centering around the furthest point in the center of the thigh. Same thing with the shins. The shins still have like a lot of problems in my opinion. I think the feet feel just a little bit unnatural with the way you design them. At least have a shadow here, and the furthest most part of the toes would catch some light, and that would be a good start to making the feet look natural. But it's just the boot or the type of style of shoe that you did, or the flatness of it. Feels like we would see more of the top of the foot anyway. And then you've got the silhouette, so you see a lot of bumps for the bicep area, and you just got this sausage for the arms. The neck thickness is fine for her athletic occupation. Chest bone would have a lot less light on it, but breasts would have more. Even though they're flattened against the armor. You have a little bit more of the stomach, a little bit more here. It's helping, but it's still not reading as enough because I think you should try considering redoing it. But it's definitely moving in the right direction in comparison to the before. Right, a little bit of a bump towards the throat cavity right there, about below the neck. The face looks okay, so you're doing well with the face, but I really recommend you start getting into your figure studies and keep character design at the back for now and go back into it once you have a good knowledge. And then there was that light environment that was just way too dark. Okay? So I hope that helps. Any questions at all? Okay. Yeah, like plumbing, yeah. Don't video games companies the posts look so natural and personalized. What kind of illustration is the villain challenge? I'll just answer that now. It's gonna be a full illustration, background and everything. I really struggle with drawing the gesture line of a front view character without it looking like a straight line. Is there any way to add fluid gesture in front view? Well, this is one example. Legs a little bit more separated, arms doing something, again the head tilt. There's also standing gestures that have this kind of, and then you can just increase the field of view and zoom in. And you'll have that perspective, which is so cool for character designs. I love drawing in this angle. This is a really cool standing character design. I mean, if you don't want it that intense, you can do something like this, and that's fine. Just that little bit of perspective is great. And, of course, you can just try for a 3/4 view, which is also really great on field of view. Like, look at how intense field of view is when it's all the way up. Whoa. I know a lot of artists who draw like this, that we can see the top of the feet as well as the base of the chin, which is really cool. I think it's just these two possibilities because it's just so intense. Oh. Alright, so this is not so intense an angle. If I turn on enhanced lighting, everything's on. I'm tempted to turn it on. So I have some other pieces here, but I feel like my voice is really coming to a limit, and I want to keep it all in the same theme. So we did talk about portraits a great deal already, but if you don't own Portrait Studio and the price is a little too steep for you, even though we've really priced it as fair as possible, there is another sale coming up in June or end of May, and it's going to be a very big sale, almost 50% off Portrait Studio. So a lot of the sales won't move into Mac because Mac already is taxing the crap out of us. So we might not do that because literally we'd make like $10 for every sale if we gave a sale on Mac. They've already taxed us up to like 40 or 50%. So this is crazy. I cannot believe Apple does this to its developers, but whatever. But for PC users, because we haven't really been taxed to hell, we will have a continuous sale plan for this year. So if you don't have it, you can wait for the sale. Sometimes I might reward it if you guys do some good notes. I might even reward a promo code that is 50% off for those who do good notes, or those who come second place in notes. For those who win Portrait Studio, of course you get it for free, but that's what the challenges are for. And again, all challenges are due after the 2nd of April or April 2nd, because we just simply cannot have two places where contestants post their work. It's going to just be crazy. I want to have one specific place where everyone is posting their work so that I could track down people's progress and track down their works in progress, so their thumbnails and their blueprinting, their gesture drawing. So today we talked about gestures. Please make sure you are actually blueprinting and perfecting your gestures for the villain design. The gesture is part of expression, but character design is the trinity is gesture, costume, and expression. So make sure you have all of those three maximized, and gesture is a very big one. It's a difficult unit. No matter how well you draw a portrait, it's not going to save you. A portrait is the backbone of your portfolio, but if you don't know how to work with gesture, you don't have a good idea. Watch some videos of basic people walking, or basic, not basic people, just basic walking people. People walking basically. And animation, see how fluid the gesture might be. Fill up your visual library. If you feel like, okay, I've watched like 1,000 videos and I feel like I've learned nothing, don't worry about that. A lot of the visual library is instinctive. It's not conscious choices. Oh, I have found this in my visual library, this page, paragraph, this, and I'm going to pull that specific fact and put it here. A lot of it is just what you think looks right. It starts to get better. It's instinctive. It's visual instinct. So don't worry too much about actively filling in the blanks. You'll supplement the more you expose yourself, just by doing that alone. And then if you study, of course, you'll remember a lot as well. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're interested in buying Portrait Studio, it's available on my website, istebrak.com, on the store page. There you can also find the link to buying it for Mac, as well as all my brushes. If you've seen me on After Hours doing some sketches or something. I will be streaming tonight. I'll be continuing some more because I don't gym anymore and I have to heal, so I have to sit down. A lot of sitting down, which is killing me. But it's helping. At least I'll be, like, up and at it for classes, and that's all that matters. But yes, please go to istebrak.com and click on the community tab to download the villain resource pack from the previous years. It's a little different because this one is character design. Remember, it's illustration. But if you want to get a hold of the villain, let me download it and show you. No, thank you. Inspirational folder. So I have a lot of pictures that I posted of previous villains and how they've been designed and their expressions. Okay, and you'll find that there are a lot of consistencies between all these villains in different stories. Lack of eyebrows, dark circles, dark mouth, sickly characters, bald characters. Right, this is more for expression. Angry, smile is suspicious, eyes looking forward, chin down. See, that chin is down. And then we've got full-on creature designs, the mystery, the hidden face. So make sure you guys are downloading that. It's basically Hades. More of the same kind of examples, but make sure it's more variety. But to see the tilted chin inward, eyes looking up, smile, flat or angry eyebrows, it's all the same. But of course, you're supposed to be designing your own. These are just inspirational. And I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you everyone for joining. And I had one more little announcement, but I forgot it. I'll remember it and tweet it. Thank you all. I'll see you guys on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye everyone.